Welcome to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 173. How much is enough? Hello, 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 all you beautiful people. How's it going? But it's really crazy that we're here already, like mid-April. Time goes by so fast when we age. It just keeps getting, the time really just keeps shortening and shortening and shortening, it feels like. Did not feel like that when I was 10 years old and dying to get my driver's license when I was 16. Time moved really, really slow back then, but not anymore. It goes by so fast, which reminds me to let you know that, we only have a short amount of time here on earth, and you should be trying to live the best life that you possibly can, right? It's so fleeting and nothing is guaranteed, as we well know by now, right? So a couple little updates I want to give you before I get into today's topic, which is how much is enough? We ask ourselves that question a lot, especially when we are trying to decide how much alcohol we should or shouldn't be drinking. I talk a lot about planning for your alcohol ahead of time and try not to make decisions in the moment around alcohol. I'm going to get into that in a second, but I want to give you some updates. So wine-free weekend is coming. And yesterday I went live on my on my public Facebook page at Coach with Angela Mascenik. And if you haven't done this yet, you should go over there and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. It's the same handle, at Coach with Angela Mascenik. But I did a Facebook Live on some reasons why you might want to join me for this wine-free weekend, because I've been hearing that a lot of people are like, I can't imagine going alcohol-free on the weekend. Isn't it enough that I don't drink during the week, or blah, blah, blah? But to answer that question, it's well, if you're still over drinking on the weekends, then you should consider joining me for the wine-free weekend challenge. Because what happens is we want to do a reset, right? We want to give ourselves a break from it so we can look at why we're drinking and uncover some of the reasons why we're still over drinking on the weekends. If you find yourself doing pretty well during the week, but come Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, you're overdoing it, and you're starting your week feeling drained and tired and that whole I'll just start again on Monday bullshit, then you should definitely come check out Wine-Free Weekend. It is the last weekend in April, and I'm going to be jumping on live Friday early afternoon, 4 p.m.-ish Eastern time, Saturday morning, and Sunday afternoon to help support you and coach you and give you some good tools that help you address the weekend obstacles, that's social situations. Having a lot of free time on the weekend is also an obstacle. Sometimes we feel bored and we don't really have a lot going on, so we end up drinking, or we don't know how to do our regular weekend routines without drinking. So I'm going to be talking about all of that stuff and supporting you. And it's fun to be in a virtual room with women who are all working on this together, so you don't have to do it alone. I think that's probably the hardest thing about changing your relationship with alcohol is you feel so isolated sometimes and alone. And it's not super motivating to keep going when you think you're the only one trying to cut back. But when you put yourself in the room with a bunch of other women doing this together, it brings more joy and happiness and liveliness and connection so that you don't feel like you're doing it alone. You're not the only one working through this stuff. So anyway, check out Wine-Free Work Week or Weekend. The link to sign up for that is in the show notes. But just to let you know, on my public website, if you go to angelamascenik.com/events, I have added all of my upcoming things to that website, so you can sign up for Wine-Free Weekend there. I'm also now opening up where you can buy tickets to my conference. Stop Over Drinking and Start Living. The conference is coming back for a second year, and you can get your ticket there under events. And then also, I'm not sure if you have heard about this yet, but last week I decided to do a little experiment and offer private sessions with people in a different format off Zoom. It's called Walk and Talk with Angela. And I sent out one email and did a couple social media posts about this. I created a little calendar where you can go on and grab a private one-on-one session with me. And we go walk and talk. So we plug in and I call you on your phone, old school, and we walk and I coach you. So I'm walking, you're walking, and movement and coaching and working through things is super, super powerful. And people who have signed up for it so far have loved it. I'm loving it. And if you ever just wanted to talk to me privately, maybe you don't want to do the group coaching program or whatever, I'm bringing this back in, and I think I'm going to keep it for a while. So under angelamascenik.com/events, go there and you can find the walk and talk. If you don't see any availability right now, I update my calendar for those on the last Monday of the month. So next Monday, the last Monday of April, I'll be updating that calendar again. And there's only going to be a couple spots every week. So if you see one, grab one. And let's talk on the phone, y'all. It's so fun. And you'll leave that call knowing exactly what you want to do or need to do to move you closer to your goal, whatever they are. So any topic is open. It's not just for over drinking. So if you need help in your business or in a relationship or to get a promotion or overeating or over drinking, anything goes on these calls. So it's a really, really fun way to connect and get really clear and focused and leave that call feeling confident that you know what your next step is. Okay, I think that's all the updates. So now to dig into how much is enough, right? Our brain likes to offer up this question a lot, especially if you are intentionally planning your alcohol or food for that matter. So we often think, like, after we make our plans, oh, that's not going to be enough. I'm going to want more, right? And that might be true, right? So like what happens is if you make a drink plan, and this is what I recommend my clients do, you make a drink plan on like Sunday for the rest of the week. So you decide how much alcohol you're going to have, whatever that day it is that you want to have alcohol. Say it's Wednesday, you're going to have 2 glasses of wine, Thursday, nothing, Friday, nothing, right? Like you make a drink plan for the week. Your brain is going to come up with a lot of thoughts about that number no matter what it is, if it's 0 or it's 3 or 4. And you might think that's not going to be enough. I'm going to want more, or I'm not going to be okay with that number, right? And what I want to tell you about that is when you make your drink plan in accordance to the relationship that you want to have with alcohol, you are engaging your higher self. You're engaging the higher part of your brain that has your best interests and your goals and your future in mind, right? And so once we make that decision with your drink plan and we set that into motion, your lower brain, the one that wants what it wants pleasure over pain, right? It wants to take the easiest way to get what it needs as possible, is going to have a lot of thoughts like that's not going to be enough. And even when it comes time to execute your plan, and say you're having your planned glass of wine, your brain might say, that's not enough, I want more. And all of this isn't a problem. It's just that you need to know how to handle it, right? So our feelings in the moment, or our thoughts in the moment after we've had our planned amount, or if there's none on the plan, is really just that automatic response. And you, the real you who had your goals in mind, your higher self, that knows what it wants, like the real you, who's not in response to urges and feelings, has your best interest at heart. So when your brain comes in and says, oh, it's not enough, right? Like, I just want more, and like you have an urge to have more, you just have to remind yourself that like you get to decide. The real you gets to decide how much is enough. And you've already made that decision. That's why you made your drink plan the way that you did. And then you get to remind yourself it's okay that you want more. And I've already decided that this is enough. And let me just work on processing this urge and like let my desires be present and breathe into them gently and like tell myself it's not a problem that I want more. Of course I want more. I've trained my brain to want more alcohol. That would be a normal response to have. But I'm telling you that it is enough right now, and it's okay that you might want more, right? Like you're the one the real you decides how much is enough, not your reactory type emotions and thoughts in the moment, right? We don't want to let that part of you run the show, because that part of you is the part of you that gets you to drink more than you actually want to. And oftentimes when we're in this place, like, oh, it's not enough, and then we end up drinking, there's also that higher part kicks in. It's like, you shouldn't be doing this. This wasn't on your plan. And it feels like this tug of war, right? It's like this big conflict that feels really uncomfortable. It's the cognitive dissonance. And then we try to escape that feeling with more alcohol. So we end up really trying to numb out from that cognitive dissonance, that, back and forth battle that we're having. Right? And then there's just never enough alcohol that can actually make that feeling go away. So my advice to you is that to remember, you get to decide how much is enough, and relying on your brain or your feelings or your desires to kind of direct you how much is enough is never a good idea. So let go of this idea of like, well, I don't know how much I'm going to want, or I'm going to want more when I make this drink plan. Your drink plan is there to help engage with the part of you and your goals, and the part of you that wants a different relationship with alcohol. That is the real you making those decisions. And then when the other part of your brain kicks in and tells you, well, I want more, or it's not going to be enough, you have to remind yourself is, I get to decide how much is enough. And these 2 drinks that I've put on my drink plan is enough, because that's how much I decided that I wanted. And now let me work on processing and allowing my urges for more. And the more I do that, those urges and desires will go down, and it will even itself out. So the more you can be gentle with yourself, process those urges in the moment for more when you think this isn't going to be enough, or I want more, it will sort of like equal itself out. It's going to take some time for your desire to go down. You remember, your desire goes down when you don't respond to it, right? The reason why we want more and we think it's not going to be enough is because we've kept feeding that desire over and over again with more alcohol. So to even it out, to get to a place where your mind, the real you, matches your desire levels, is going to take some willingness on your part to be uncomfortable and process those urges for more. Does that make sense? So when those urges come in and your brain's like, oh, I want more, and this isn't enough, and I should have planned for more, all of that, you want to be like, I hear you, I recognize you. Let me just take a deep breath and allow my desires for this to be present. I don't want to push it away. I don't want to distract myself. I don't need to go eat something. I don't need to pick up my phone and scroll. Take a deep breath. Breathe it out. Allow space in your mind and your body for the desire. Okay? And this gets tricky sometimes when you've already had alcohol on board, right? So just know that this is going to be part of your process. You need to be conscious of this happening and tell yourself, I have already decided how much is enough. Now let me just work through this urge. Okay? We do the same thing with food, right? So like, say it's something that you really, really like pizza, or a piece of your favorite cake, or potato chips, or something that you really enjoy eating, and you've noticed that you eat a lot of this thing that you really like, right? So say you've planned for it. You want to enjoy the thing that you like. There's nothing wrong with pleasure through food or through alcohol. But what you want to know how to do is how to handle the desires that you're going to have for more, right? And I've talked about this before, like this peak threshold on the pleasure amount that you're going to get, right? We do reach a pleasure threshold, like it's like the peak amount of pleasure that we're going to get from food and alcohol. And usually it's a lot less than we think it is, right? We think that to get as much as we actually want, we got to eat the whole pizza or drink the whole bottle of wine, which just isn't the case, right? So if you really are staying in tune to eating the thing that you're wanting to eat, you've planned to have your piece of pizza or 2, and you notice the desires that you're having while you're eating it. You notice how good it tastes and how you're feeling while you're eating it. Like probably after a piece, you notice that is starting to, like, you've peaked at it, right? Like you're not getting any more pleasure from eating more of it. It's the same thing with alcohol. So even though it feels hard to stop sometimes, like you're your primitive desires are telling you you want more, but you're noticing like more isn't really going to do anything for me. It's okay that my primitive desires say you should have more, but I really don't want more. So let me just stop and take a breath and allow the desire for more to be there and not respond to it. Okay? And the more you practice that over and over again, whether it's food or alcohol, again, your baseline kind of for like how much is enough will flatten out, and you'll know that, yeah, I'm good with 2 glasses of wine, and that will feel true for you. Or I'm good with just having a piece and a half of pizza. Even though I may want more, like my primitive part of my brain will say, just have another piece or just have another glass of wine. I'll know that I've had enough. And it'll equal itself out, and you don't need to spend so much time and energy and your emotional resources processing these urges for more, because you'll just be good. It'll just feel complete for yourself. Does that make sense? So to go back and review, how much is enough really is a question that you get to decide ahead of time. You are the one that is in charge, right? Not your primitive desires and the motivation for more pleasure from the primitive part of your brain. So you get to decide how much is enough, and then you get to allow and process urges for more after you've had your planned amount, whether that's alcohol or food or how much time you're spending on social media or whatever the thing is that you're trying to cut back on. Okay? And the more you can work on that and allowing yourself to process and feel those urges and telling yourself, I've already decided how much is enough, nothing has gone wrong, this is a vibration in my body, and you move and you process through it, the more powerful you'll become, and you'll have more agency over this stuff, and it won't stress you out so much or like give you anxiety when you think about planning for whatever it is that you want to enjoy in the future. All right, my friends, that's what I have for you today. Don't forget to go sign up for Wine Free Weekend. If you want to grab a ticket to the conference, you're welcome to do that. And if you want to have a private call with me, go book a walk and talk session. All of that can be found on angelamascenik.com/events. Talk to you next week. Bye.